Hey guys, welcome to Dreaming of Diamond Call. Team Call, we are recapping our awesome retreat weekend. So I'm going to talk through that and just what the goal of the retreat is, and then also something that we're all going to be kind of focused on as we move into this week. And I'm really excited. So I'm glad to see everybody's faces, and I'm glad to just get us started off really strong in the week. So every year I think we took some breaks during like the COVID time, right? But like we really try to get together in person every year. And so this year it was in Kansas City. And the content is going to vary. It's very much just kind of like we let it kind of fall together naturally. So we were very excited to, get together on Friday. That's usually just like dinner and games. And then, we were blessed to have the VP of Global Sales with us, Jory Russell, and he's just so fantastic. And he had been with us last year, so it was kind of nice to have him back again. It was very, just kind of it was kind of an anniversary feeling for him, right? He was so excited to see everybody again. And so on Saturday, really, it always kind of looks like breakfast, and then the speakers begin. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about those speakers, and I'm also going to tell you what our focus is moving forward for the week because we were challenged by Jory. So he really got us started. Sorry, Jory spoke, and then we had situational awareness training by Duty to Fit. And the executive director of MAD spoke to us as well, and we had photos. So it was wonderful, and it was really exciting. So I'm going to recap kind of what kind of the general gist. Obviously, we can't like just give it all, right now, as it would take too long, but we will have follow-up documentation that we can give from a couple of our first two speakers. So Jory Russell really talked to us about, how we can, he walked us through goal setting, which was really incredible. We don't have to do that tonight. I'm going to bring that in this week in a separate training. But he really walked us through and let us know that we need to be setting personal goals, financial goals, community goals, right? Who we want to be in the community, what that looks like, how we want to interact with, our surroundings. And so, he really just walked us through, doing that and then broke down, none of this is going to happen without connecting. And a lot of times we feel lost and we're like, where do I find the people? What am I going to do? How am I going to, find these people? And sometimes we can even feel desperate because we keep not regurgitating, we keep recycling the same connections and wanting to turn something, wanting to turn these connections into something when really, if we could dial up the connecting, uh, we would have more options and we wouldn't have to feel like we were just like, I got three people that I'm working with and I got to turn this into something so I can hit my goals, right? And so, really, what he said makes sense. And it really comes down to what we've spoken about so many times, right? The law of averages, meaning the more that we are putting out, the more that we're going to get back. I find in sales, at least, the outside sales that I was in, it was the law of averages was about 30% return. And you might get more and sometimes and less in others, but it kind of always evens out to be about 30%. And so he really challenged us into, especially, there were a lot of people in the room that felt like, hey, I'm doing everything, right? We always feel like we're doing everything, or we feel like we're not doing everything and we're just not doing everything. And that's a different problem that we can solve, okay? But if we feel like we're doing everything, if we feel like we're spinning our wheels, it really comes back to how can we get in front of more people and not necessarily leading with plexus. And I think that's really tough for us when we have low time or tell ourselves we have low time. Some of the girls that I coach feel like, certain components of what we do can feel like it's wasting time. Like if you're a steward of your time and you're like, I got to make everything efficient, right? And I have felt that way in the past. I definitely feel you. So you're not alone with that. But what he challenged us to, and I'm going to kind of kick it off tomorrow, I'm going to get my thoughts together. It's kind of been a long weekend. So I'm going to get my thoughts together about just like a connection blitz. And what that will look like is he challenged everybody to give 20 compliments a day. And what could that start with 20 compliments a day? And I think that some of us have looked at those IPA sheets and we're sending messages. I don't think that that's bad, right? So if you're doing an active IPA sheet, I think that that's great. If you're getting fruit from that, or if you're like, wow, I haven't been doing that, that's definitely something that you want to be doing. But I think what's really important is even if you don't give 20 compliments a day, give 10, right? And we were actually in the room and there was some spot training with like this kind of this icebreaker uh you know exercise that we were doing, and I watched the partners that were partnered up naturally do it, you know what I mean, with each other, and it just feels good. And I think that if we can point that arrow out again, sometimes we're like, I don't know how to start these conversations, I don't want to be disingenuous, I don't, it's not about that. It's just about, how can you again just reach out and be like, "Hey, I see that you're killing it at XYZ, or your hair is beautiful." Guys, we love ladies, I think we're all ladies on here right now. We love a compliment, right? Tell me my vest is nice or whatever. I don't wear a vest. This is a funny thing that I even said that because in St. Louis, lots of vests are around. Okay. This is a funny St. Louis joke. But anyway, I love your headband. I love your hat. Oh my gosh, your makeup. Like, and that just feels good. We know how it feels when we do it. And I feel like if we're succeeding in this at all, and every single person I'm looking at right here has customers. So you can't tell me you're not good at this. That's out. Okay. You're already good at this. We've established this. And so, how can you just lean in a little bit more on a tender side and just become that person that recognizes other people, right? And a lot of times it is a natural, like I don't feel like this is unnatural to us. And I'll be honest with you, I do feel like this is a harder training for men. I do feel like this would be a tougher conversation for men, but women are naturally more observant. We're naturally a little softer. We're nurturers by nature. And so I want you to think about that. Whatever your routine is, if you feel like 20 is too much, he's kind of like, he's extreme town, right? He's extremism zone. Try 10. And the thing that's funny is you're going to do it. Once you get started doing it, it's going to get so easy for you to be that person. And what it does is it changes your focus from a sale to, I'm just going to notice this person. I'm just going to see something in this person. Guys, you're a waiter, right? Or you're the lady, doing something at your kid's school, or it's easy. It really is. Once you start, and that's where I really want to come back to is I believe we're naturally doing it, but applying a little bit more pressure in that direction is going to open that door of a deeper connection and open that door of plexus, right? You can do it online, you can do it in person. It doesn't really matter. Is everything going to come back from to a sale? No, but I can tell you this right now. I once you start doing things like this, you're really creating more integrity around your personal brand, and we all have one. You had a brand a long time ago. You started building your brand when you were a kid, and you get referrals in your regular business. You get people say, "Oh, so and so told me about you. You're great at this." And again, you're already doing it. This is a natural extension, and we always love making people feel good. So I want you to really, we're going to come back to this, but that was really how he centered things around. Um, in my personal coaching, I'm going to be talking about these goals, and I'm going to be talking about where are we going? What are we going to do? Who are we going to show up as to get to that end result? But then really the connections, he challenged us. And so we're going to create a goal as a team, and we'll just have a little, the thermometer thing, when you're doing fundraising, we'll do something like that. I don't know what that's going to look like. I'm going to get more brilliant in the morning. You know how that goes when you're a little bit tired. So that's what's going to happen. I'm going to get really brilliant sitting in the sauna tomorrow morning. Okay. That's what's going to happen. So, anyway, that's to come. But he really was an amazing encourager. He's a fan of our team. He's just a champion for all of us. So that's what we're gonna do with him. And then right after that, we had situational awareness training with Duty to Fit. And so if you guys don't know who Duty to Fit is, Liz is actually on here. Part of Duty to Fit is her husband, Steve Thompson, and then Rob Thomas is the other side of that. Rob is my level one. We were former coworkers, and life is full circle, right? I mean, like I actually told somebody the story a little bit more quietly about how like, the whole trajectory of meeting Rob, and it's really cool that we get to do this. So I want you to understand that you never know who's going to join you, right? Like you literally had a job 500 bajillion years ago. That's how it feels, even though we decided that we're really actually young. But, the years are just lying to us, I guess. Anyway, the point is that you never know. And so it was a beautiful thing to watch them kind of train us. And so what that means, guys, situational awareness and, safety protocols are noticing, especially with it is retail season right now, guys, and just being aware. I'm gonna get um he's gonna email me some of the slides, right? There were some pieces of the slide, one slide in particular that I felt like is really applicable to these are things we can, add in right away to just be aware of what's happening. He shared some statistics. The bad news is if you live in St. Louis or Kansas City, we're not in a good spot. Like, like that's what's happening. He didn't pull other areas, but the point is that crime's happening everywhere and it's things we don't think about. And really it was just about personal safety. And he really, they really just talked about that. Um, I'm gonna let the resource kind of train. I don't want to redo the training because I'm gonna do it wrong. I mean, these guys are very much like former military, current law enforcement, and so they're better than that, but or better than me, excuse me, at that. But the idea is just to be aware of your surroundings. They showed us a video, which I might be able to get the video, and that could be something that you guys could watch on your own time. But it was like, hey, how many people in orange shirts got subs? Okay. And hey, did you notice this? Did you notice this? And really what you found is that you're in a crowded environment, and especially if you've got your phone in your hand, especially if you've maybe got an animal or a child with you or a group with you, or just you're by yourself, just the surroundings, even the noises, it can pull you away from seeing what you need to see, or maybe something a little bit more sketchy. So the point is that it was a great training. It definitely gave us just some ideas around just to be a better steward of our own safety. And that if you're something I can pass this along is, if you ever see anything or if you ever feel unsafe, go right back into where you came from. If all else fails, you don't have a man with you, you don't have, you feel like you're going to be walking into something that is unsure. Don't try to be a hero, don't, just walk back into where you're at or get to somebody that you feel like is more safe or a well-lit area. They also said light is a big time deterrent of anything, ick, or any, the bad stuff kind of happens in the dark type of a thing. I famously leave my key fob in my car, and they let me know that I'm an idiot for doing that. And so I'm going to do my best. I half promised that I was going to stop doing that, and I really, really want to stop doing that. But and I always thought, like, okay, well, if I leave the key fob in and they're smart enough to push it and take it, like, there's a lesson I need to learn. Okay, but no, anyway. So, it's just things like that. So I will pass along that deck. Rob or Steve were gonna send it to me. And obviously Liz came with them too, and we were so glad to see her, and she got to take part in some of the stuff as well. So they're gonna, the more that we get together, I've really even said like, hey, maybe next time, we could talk about just, how to disarm something, maybe physically, So again, we don't want to be in these situations, you guys. We do not want to be in these situations, but they happen, and better to have that, kind of confronting that it could happen than just live in that space where we think that we're safe or safe for whatever. I mean, I've put myself in really dumb situations, especially after listening to the talk. I'm like, "Oh, probably was doing that wrong." But it's just another thing that I will say that they do, if this could be beneficial to you, and I can send this out too. They will do like a scan of your home, right? A safety assessment of your home. They can do it virtually or in person, where they just kind of look at what's going on, and they can tell you like, hey, this is stupid. Like I already told them that if they saw my kitchen window, I'd be in big trouble. So anyway, just like open, you can see everything, and there's no screen and whatever. But my point, if that could be something, I know there were a handful of us that kind of were interested in that. I mean, I live alone. I don't have a spouse. I don't have anybody else in my house other than children. So, if you're somebody that you got to just think about if that could be valuable to you. So I loved that. It was very different. Every speaker we had was male. So the diversity is big, you guys, this year, and I loved it. Um, and the last thing was that my friend Jared, speaker wise, my friend Jared with Mothers Against Drunk Driving, he was a former police officer in St. Louis. He went to work for his fraternity, Delta Chi, and then he found himself at Mothers Against Drunk Driving. And he sort of walked us through what he took from each. And I loved it. What he took away from being a police officer is don't just look at what's right in front of you, look like 5 cars ahead, right? And I think that is super applicable to our business. It really, really is. It's super applicable to a lot of things, right? We have to scan for risk. This goes back into this is more the Rob and Steve talk, okay? But but really in other things, we have to scan for risk. We have to look ahead, right? And you might have heard me say this if we've been in a coaching session. I'm like, we got to set this up for your Ruby size team. We have to set things up for when you're a Jewel. What does this look like, right? We don't want to jump way too far ahead, but we want to be aware that things that we're setting in place, we want them to work so that you can scale. And so that's kind of what he said. And I loved that. Um, and when he started talking about, Delta Chi and working with Delta Chi and then Mothers Against Drunk Driving, he really just talked about how people love to belong. And what I thought was really special was that's what we get to offer naturally, that people get to join something, even if they're just going to be part of products, they're not alone. They get to be a part of a group and they get to join a community. Even if it's an online community, even if you're like, wow, I'm kind of like by myself over where I live, but that you get the opportunity to create something. And especially if, you see something in the larger team, right? I'm your larger team. Like if you see something and you're like, man, it would be cool if this happened. And the really cool part is that I want to empower you. Let's talk about that. Let's create that for you. Let's figure out how I can empower you or your leader can empower you to create that. So he really talked about belonging. And then the last thing he said was there's a reason you do what you do. And there's a reason that you have chosen to share Plexus. And he challenged us to find one word. And I was like, that is super freaking tough. I mean, because he said that he gets up and does what he does because of friends. He talked about a volunteer organization that he's a part of. He doesn't make any money to do it, but he'd never not be a part of it. And it's because of his friends that were involved and are involved. So I think maybe friends is the word for some of us around here, but there's got to be a reason, And I racked my brain and I thought about mine, and I'm like, I think it started differently, but mine is empowerment. That is the thing that will keep me going, even if things get hard and I feel discouraged. I'm like, but how am I empowering women right now? Right? That's how I've transitioned into what I'm here to do for you guys. So not everybody's going to be in that place. Maybe you're doing this for family. Maybe you're doing this for, energy, or maybe you're doing this for, there's a multitude of things, money. I mean, like maybe you're doing this for vacation. Like, I think it's interesting, right? Although we know that our why is more cumbersome than one word, I think that finding one word that can get us out of bed to keep doing this and keep us on track is a really special thing. So, we can all talk about that again or privately or whatever. So, and then we had photos, which I love doing that. When we do these retreats, what we always want is somehow to bring something in to strengthen your business. And we know that we're a social media thing, right? We need these pictures and we like to, have fun. And the girls who did it, Jody organized the photographer, and it just, they were super cute. They were young. So they were like doing all the more social media stuff, videos, and it was super cute. So you'll see those as, we got a couple teasers that some people have already shared, but not everybody and the group participated in the professional photos. They got to choose if they want to do that. The picture that I shared on my stories, that was everybody. So I'm going to be making an actual post of that. I threw it up in my stories. And so that was everybody that was involved, which I was really proud of. The biggest one we've had. And we're going to keep getting bigger. And if you're somebody that is in a different area, or you're like, man, I'd love to, do something close to me, I love that. There's never going to be a space from me, particularly, that I'm going to want to stop you from making this your own. Because yes, you're a part of something that is established, but your team is just as important and is going to change just as many lives as mine has. So, and of course you're a part of that. So you're always invited to my stuff, but I want to, empower you too. So, I definitely want to remind you, I forgot about this. We have a No Quit November that is starting tomorrow. That's kicking off. That is just a group that I've kind of paid into. You can put your people into. Sometimes we have these groups and it's just a value add to throw your people into it. And who would belong into that is people who ordered last month, or already ordered this month, or people that have a subscription in place. I think it's fine to throw them in there. We're a little too late to leverage ordering to get into it. So right now, just do a little bit of customer service tonight, maybe make some lists about, anybody. And what we can do is, I want to make sure you're in there first and foremost. Again, this is just a support group. This is nothing like, this isn't homework. You're not going to have to do anything in there. You can participate and you can win prizes, but it's not a pressure. Okay. But if let's get you in there. So message me if you need to get in there. Because the thing is that we got to add you in, but then I've got to go in and approve you. And there's other people approving. So if you have a list of people that you want to add into it, send them the link or add them in, or, I'll get you in and you can add them in, and then send me their names so that I can approve them. I know that feels a little bit cumbersome, but just, and it's not going to be for everybody. Not everybody's going to want to be in there, but for and those are free, right? And the message could go something like, hey, I just want to let you know, we've got, a support group. The theme is kind of around like staying consistent, dropping some bad habits, and staying, just staying consistent on the good. You're invited. You've already qualified to be in it. You can win some prizes if you want to participate. Would you like me to add you? That's it. Okay. And if we need extra support with that, I can throw something into our chat. It's a very easy ask. Again, the people in this scenario who you're going to be bringing in is already qualified for it. They don't have to do anything. It's just that, hey, this exists. If you'd like to be in it, we'd love to have you. Okay, so that is really the way that the weekend went. Moving forward, we're going to be counting our compliments. We have, some fun stuff ahead, obviously, and we're just rolling, and it's a great month already. Reminder that Black Friday is obviously the day after Thanksgiving, and we've got some surprises coming that day too, and I can't tell you what they are because I don't know what all of them are, but it's a good time, and so it'll be an exciting time. If it's the first time you've been a part of our Black Friday or paid attention as a leader during Black Friday, it's always exciting. It's always fun, and it's typically, there's some kind of a sale involved. Sometimes they, launch things. Sometimes, and I believe that this is going to be more applicable to everybody. So that's kind of fun too, right? So we can all go shopping and things like that. But don't quote me. I do not know for sure, for sure. So, and does anybody, Jody, do you have anything to add? I know, I think Amanda's just listening. Do you have anything to add about the weekend?
I don't. I just appreciate everybody being there. So it
Yeah.
was a great time.
Yeah, yeah, and more to come. We are growing by leaps and bounds, and it's just gonna get better and better. So I'm excited about it. Okay, you guys, thanks for hopping on tonight. I'll get the recording up right away, and we're gonna have a great week ahead. Okay? All right. Love ya.